Hello and welcome to episode number 15 of the Mind Body Masters podcast, the podcast teaching you how to heal yourself from the inside out. Now today we are talking about something really cool. As you probably have gathered by now, I talk a lot about how you have the ability and the power to actually start healing yourself. And today I'm going to show you just how easy it is, and I'm going to give you the 3 steps that you need to start to learn and master in order to heal yourself. So make sure you stay tuned. Hi, I'm Jay Curry. As a former chiropractor, I realised that people's physical symptoms started in their mind and not in their body, which is why I now teach people how to heal themselves from the inside out. Now, you don't need to be a monk or a mystic to heal yourself. You just need to learn how to master your mind-body connection. And this podcast is going to show you how. You're going to learn how to understand the hidden meaning of your symptoms, resolve the old emotional baggage that's kept you stuck, and gain practical tools to reduce the stress in your life. This is going to give you the ability to heal not only physically, but also spiritually. And this comes with a dangerous level of freedom. So let's help you become a mind-body master. All right, Mind Body Masters, hello, and thank you for tuning into this episode. Really appreciate your ongoing support and commitment to yourself for being here, commitment to yourself for learning about how your mind affects your body. Now today, and as you probably heard in the intro, I said that healing is easy. I know, right? A lot of people don't think this. A lot of people think that healing is very difficult. And look at the state of the world and look at how most people go about healing. How many people out there do you know that are really fighting with their body? They've got some kind of symptom, whether it be pain or they've got some kind of chronic illness, whether it be fatigue or fibromyalgia or burnout or any of these kind of symptoms that are ongoing. And you see them really struggling with their health. They're struggling with their body. And when I was a chiropractor, this was something that I'd hear a lot in initial appointments, initial intakes, when I'd sit down with someone and ask, hey, what's going on for you? Is people would often say, I'm just really struggling with my health. I can't seem to figure this out. I can't seem to get a hold of it. I've been doing everything. I've been trying everything, but nothing seems to work. And I just like to look at the words of that. And a lot of people would say, I'm struggling with my body. I'm struggling with my health. I'm struggling with pain. I'm struggling with this or that or this or that. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be a matter of struggle. What I'm about to share with you today is it's going to take the struggle out of healing, because in fact healing is one of the easiest things to do. It is the most simple process, and it is the most straightforward thing that we can do, yet we've made it so difficult. We've had these conditions put on healing that in order to heal we need to jump through all of these hoops. We need to get stronger and do all these rehabilitative exercises. We need to get our lab results down and certain markers up and other markers down. We need to make sure that we're eating correctly. And if we eat a wrong meal, well, that's the reason why we're in pain. Or we put conditions on what we can and can't do. It's like, oh, if I go for a big walk or a workout of some description, that's going to cause me to have a flare-up and I'm going to be in bed for 2 days and I'm going to be exhausted and I'm going to be fatigued. We have all of these conditions that we place on healing, and what that does is it makes healing really difficult. It means that in order to heal, you need to tick all the right boxes, and if you do as much as miss one of those boxes, well then it's all your fault. You're going to be in pain, you're going to have your symptoms flare up, and you're going to feel really exhausted and have all of these big symptoms, right? And I'm sure a lot of you guys out there who might be dealing with some physical stuff can certainly relate to that. I know that was the case for me. I had these really strict parameters around what I couldn't do, and I would say if something as simple as if I ate too much gluten, that would cause my pain to flare up. Or if I did a movement wrong at training, that would be the reason why I was bedridden. But the thing is, we're going to start to look at things in a different way. And one of the big distinctions here, and this is going to be a relatively short episode because I want to really get to the point, but I want to help you guys to start looking at your symptoms in a different way. And when you start to look at your symptoms in a different way, well, all of a sudden, you can stop the struggle. You can stop fighting with your body. You can stop struggling with your health. And the analogy that I use for a lot of these people is they're trying to heal themselves and they're rowing a boat upstream. They are just working so hard and everything's really difficult, and they're seeing multiple therapists every week, and they're seeing all kinds of practitioners, and they're taking all kinds of supplements and all kinds of medications, and it feels exhausting, right? And the thing is, it doesn't have to be exhausting. Healing doesn't have to be hard, but you just need to learn this simple framework, which I'm about to teach you. And I'm also about to release a free masterclass, which I'm going to go into a lot more detail than what I do here on the podcast in terms of how to start using this framework to heal. I'll give you some more information about that at the end. But the first distinction that we need to make in order to start healing ourselves, and in order to drop the struggle, and in order to start making healing easy, is to understand that our physical symptoms aren't physical in nature, but they're emotional. They stem from unresolved stress in our life, the unexpected and emotionally distressing events of our past that we unconsciously hold on to. The things might have happened when you were 15, right? And I know this is the case personally for me. Things that happen when you're young and or when you're a child even, but unconsciously your brain holds on to these events. And every time you're reminded of these events in any capacity, in terms of seeing a person or going to a place or smelling a particular type of pollen or whatever it might be, or just getting a feeling that resembles the same emotional frequency. For example, if you felt scared, or you felt fearful, or you felt angry, or you felt sad, or you were beating yourself up in the current day, that might remind you of some old event of the past. And this is the biggest leap, and this is why I harp on about this so much, is that physical symptoms, for the most part, aren't physical at all. They're emotional. And once you start to understand this opens the door to healing. This allows you to jump the gap, if you would, and start looking at your health and symptoms in a new way. The old way is not working. I've talked about this before. Is when you look at if you look at physical symptoms from a place of only being physical and completely ignore the thoughts that you have, the stress in your life, the old unconscious emotional baggage that you're holding on to, if you ignore that and you just look purely from a physical perspective, and you're looking just to strengthen muscles and improve your flexibility, or get your lab results to a particular level so that your certain markers are here within a normal range, well, that's looking at things purely from a physical level. So but that's not you, right? You're a mind-body master. You are starting to enter this new paradigm of healing, which is easy, which is effortless, and which takes into consideration the stress that you've been through in your life, what's going on in your brain. Now, I want to just share a quick story with you. When I was a chiropractor, one of the sayings that really stuck with me is treat the man and not the scan. You can change it to treat the woman or whatever, but the saying was treat the man and not the scan. And what that means is often, as a chiropractor, you can put someone's x-rays or scans up on the x-ray box, and you can look at all kinds of abnormalities and changes and problems, if you will. But the thing is, that doesn't take into consideration the person in front of you. And this little saying, for me, sums up everything about what we're talking about. Is the modern and traditional approaches of healing, they treat the scan, not the man, right? So if you go to certain physicians or therapists, they're looking to correct physical structures, physical things. They're looking at your scans, they're looking at your lab results, they're looking at your hormone levels, they're looking at all of these various things. But what a lot of these people do, and this is not a dig at any of these professions by any means, right? Not at all, is they're just ignoring the one thing that's really important, the one thing that makes all the difference to healing, and that's you. That's what's been going on for you. Instead of looking at your symptoms through a really physical and really limited viewpoint of, okay, well, you've got this symptom and that's because you've got this particular hormone level, or you've got this nutrient is deficient, or you've got this muscle here is weak, whatever it might be. That's looking at treating you as a human from just the scans and just what shows up in your body, in your physical tests. But the thing is, when you actually start to shift and start to treat the person in front of you in terms of what have they been through, asking them, hey, how are you? It's a question that gets really ignored in a lot of traditional medical approaches, traditional therapy approaches, is people just so interested in finding the cause of the problem at a physical level that they ignore you. They ignore what's been going on for you. They ignore the stress in your life. They ignore what you're unconsciously holding on to. They ignore the changes and unexpected things that have occurred in your life. And this is the gap. This is the new paradigm that you guys are now starting to really tap into, is you're starting to recognize that, hey, that old way of just dealing with the physical symptoms is kind of limited. Yes, it does get some good results here and there, for sure. Don't get me wrong. But the thing is, when you actually start to recognize that the physical symptoms that you might have are emotional, you start to look at what's been going on for you. You start to look at what's been going on in your life that's contributing to your symptoms. So this is really the biggest thing that you guys can learn and take away from this podcast, is start recognizing that your symptoms start from an emotional aspect. There's the stress and all that stuff in your life, because the thing is, until you start dealing with that, nothing will change. You can continue going down the traditional path of seeing therapists every week and having all these different diets and hormone therapies and all of these different treatments and procedures. And you can keep doing that, and it's going to continue to feel like a real struggle. Or you can really adopt this new paradigm and start to look at how your mind is affecting your body. And once you start to make that jump, then you can start to do the work internally. You can start to look at your thoughts and your beliefs and the things that you have that you're holding on to in your life from past events. And when you start dealing with that, some amazing things start to happen. Not only do you start to feel calmer and lighter because you've let go of all of this tension from your mind and from your body, but your body actually starts to physically heal. And this is why I'm going to get into in a minute, in terms of understanding how easy it is and the 3 things that you need to do in order to start healing physically, and in order to make that jump and start to experience healing effortlessly. Because the reality of it is, instead of rowing your boat upstream like you've been doing, trying all the different things, when you drop the oars and just let your boat drift downstream, healing becomes really easy, and there's not much you really need to do. So I'm going to take you through what the 3 important factors are that you need to master and you need to learn in order to really tap into your ability to self-heal. Now, the first thing is what we've spoken about is make the jump to understanding that your physical symptoms aren't necessarily physical, but they're usually emotional. Excuse me. And what do I mean by that? And one of the things that I hear a lot of the times is, but Jake, I've had these physical injuries or these physical ailments, and they started from a physical injury. I rode a motorbike and I had an accident, or this, or I fell off a ladder and that's why my back's bad. And I'm like, yes, of course, that's true. Physical traumas and things can cause physical injuries. But when your symptoms don't heal in a normal allocated time, for example, one of the stories that I've used regularly is I had a groin tear, and muscle tears take usually 4 to 6 weeks to heal. But when they take 6 months, sure, it might have started from a physical injury, but when it takes 6 months, or for you, maybe it's years. I've had people that have had certain injuries like back pain and neck pain and things like that for 20 years. When you have symptoms that are chronic like that, sure, they might have started from a physical injury or a physical thing, but when they do not heal in the normal allocated time, or when they flare up regularly, maybe twice a year, maybe every month, maybe every time you do a particular activity, what that tells me is that there is an emotional aspect to it. And until you start dealing with that, nothing will really change. So, and the other part of this is, the other question that I hear a lot is people will go, hey, but Jake, I hear you saying that my physical symptoms, my fatigue, my burnout, my skin conditions, my pain, my whatever starts from is emotional. I haven't been through that much emotional stuff in my life. I haven't been through any trauma. I haven't been through any physical abuse or immediate deaths in my family. And I say, yeah, that's perfect. And you don't have to have gone through that stuff in order for your body to start physically changing. I always talk about trauma with a big T and a little t. Trauma with the big T is the big stuff in life, the loss of a loved one, the death of a pet, the physical abuse, these kinds of things that people associate with typical trauma. It doesn't have to be that big. It can be trauma with a little t. It can be stress with a little s. It can be just a fight with your boss, an argument with your spouse, feeling like you failed an exam, or little normal human things. So when I say that your physical symptoms start from the emotional level, not the physical, you don't have to have been through war or massive turmoil in order for your body to change. It just has to be something that's unexpected and emotionally distressing. And a lot of the time I hear people say, oh, but this is stupid. This thing that I'm about to tell you about that I think might be causing my symptoms, it's just so small and insignificant. I feel like I shouldn't even be complaining about it. That is such a backwards model, because the thing is, if it's affecting you at the emotional level, if you're thinking about it, if you're stressed about it, if it's bothering you, what that tells me is that it's important. And that's something you need to deal with. So that's the first thing, is making the understanding or recognize that your physical symptoms aren't physical. Your burnout's not physical, like I've talked about in the last episode. Skin conditions, pain, right? Adrenal issues, any kind of chronic digestive issues, these kinds of things, they're not physical if you've tried all the physical things, okay? So number 2 is, once you understand that your symptoms stem from an emotional cause, not a physical one, now is the time to start learning the language of your body. Now, each of your symptoms has a very particular meaning. If we look at the science that is Germany medicine, we can understand the very particular links between your symptoms and the stressful events that you've experienced in your life, or the thoughts that you're having, or the beliefs that you have. And so what do I mean by that is, when you understand that your back pain is caused by what we call a support conflict, or your neck pain is caused by a intellectual self-devaluation, or your digestive symptoms are caused by an indigestible morsel conflict, something that's hard to take, or some kind of anger that was hard for you to process, or when you recognize that your skin conditions start from a separation conflict, this is starting to learn the language of your body. Now, this is something I go into in a lot more detail in the Mind Body Masters program, and I can't really talk too much about it here because it is so extensive. But once you start to recognize your symptoms are meaningful, and once you start to listen and start to speak the language of your body, you can start to find the emotional causes of your physical symptoms. Now, I'll give you a few. I've got so many examples of this, particularly with clients, but I'll use some examples for myself. Now, one of the examples I had a really, really sore right big toe. It was just every time I went for a run, every time I would walk down the stairs at my house, I would get this toe that was just excruciating. And understanding this, I was, instead of going, oh, maybe I sprained my toe, maybe I did this, it didn't have any particular onset or cause. I started to go, okay, what is the emotional connection here? And understanding what the connection for feet and toes are. And by the way, you can figure all this out yourself in my free mini course, the pain-free playbook, learning how to start the foundations, learning how to start healing yourself. That is for free right now. You guys can go and jump on that on the website, mindbodymasters.com. That's got a whole guide. It goes through every single pain in your body and tells you what the emotional links are. So you've got no excuse now. You've got no excuse not to understand the language of your body, because it's all there for you for free. So the toe is, it's feeling like you can't be agile, feeling like you need to sort of tread on eggshells is one of the analogies that we use for feet and toes. And I was like, where is it that I feel like I'm treading on eggshells? And so Jazz and I lived in an apartment, and the apartment floors were really, really light. If you banged around upstairs, it would really annoy the neighbors. And I knew that if I was walking around and being really heavy-footed, then I didn't want to disturb my downstairs neighbors. I wanted to be courteous and wanted to be kind and considerate to them. And so once I made the connection, when I was going, okay, what is this toe pain caused by? And then I was like, of course, it's because I don't want to step loudly. It's because I don't want to upset the neighbors. And every step that I take on the floorboards in our house, I'm worried about making a heap of noise. And so once I made that connection, see, that's not a big trauma. That's not a stressful thing. That's a simple, normal human thing that we all go through. And so once I made that connection, there's two things you can do. And this is the same thing for you, is once you make the connection between the emotional aspect of your body and the conflict and the physical symptom, there's two things you need to do. One is you can either find a way to physically change. And for example, we just moved house. We just moved to a place where I don't have to worry about that anymore. And you wouldn't believe it, my toe hasn't felt any pain at all since we've made the move. Or secondly, you can change your perspective. You can change your thinking around that particular situation. And that's one of the other things I did when I was still there and we were still living there. I made the conscious decision to recognize that it's okay for me to make noise. I'm just walking. It's not like I'm throwing wild parties every weekend. And that process alone simply allowed me to start healing. So that's the second part, is understand the emotional causes between your physical symptoms. And the last part is easy. The last part is also the part that people struggle with the most, and that is just simply let it go. Decide to let that stressful event go. Decide to move on from that event. Don't continually get caught up in the stress of the past. Do not continually get caught up in the events and the feelings. Is learn how to process your emotions, learn how to move through your emotions, learn how to feel and heal so that you can move on. Because the thing is, when you suppress and when you don't deal with what's going on for you emotionally and you just try and move on, it doesn't work. You need to move through the emotion. You need to have the tools to be able to regulate yourself, regulate your nervous system, and start to really process that old emotional energy so that you can move on, which is really cool. And the last part of that is when you let go, is let go of the fight of your body. This is the biggest thing, is stop trying to fight, stop trying to fix things. And just once you recognize that your symptoms are meaningful, and once you recognize the emotional cause of the physical symptoms and you deal with that, healing becomes effortless. Healing becomes so easy, and you'll be blown away that when you make the connection between your mind and your body, and when you deal with whatever's going on for you emotionally, your physical symptoms will start to improve almost immediately. I'm not lying. This is something I see every day with clients, and it is amazing. It never ceases to amaze me. And that is the amazing powers that we have. We have these healing powers and potential at our fingertips, but most of us don't recognize how to use it. Most of us don't recognize we have that power, and we give our power away to doctors and health experts and people that know more than us. But that's the old way of looking at things. The new way of looking at things is taking control of your body, feeling in control of your body, understanding your symptoms are meaningful, and working through the emotional cause so that you can start to heal physically, which is absolutely wild. So that's it. They're my 3 tips, and that is how you can start to heal yourself. There is a few more. You can start healing yourself from that, but there are some times when you do. There are some additional skills that you need to learn in order to learn how to process emotional events, learn how to move on, learn how to shift and change your beliefs, learn how to change your thinking, and above all, learn how to regulate your nervous system so that you no longer feel fearful, no longer feel stressed, no longer feel resentment, no longer feel sad. How you can start to process that stuff yourself. And obviously, the podcast is giving you a great intro into this. But if you want to learn more, guess what? I've got something really exciting coming up for you. I've got a free masterclass coming on teaching you the ultimate framework for self-healing. It's going to give you the exact formula, the framework that you need to start to uncover to start healing yourself. So if you want to know more about that, make sure you jump into our free Facebook group. This is where all of the announcements are. You can find a link in the show notes, or follow me on Instagram. I'll also have updates on this, but this is coming next week. If you're listening to this now, if you're listening to this in the future, you've missed the boat. I'm sorry. But if you're listening to this, today is the 20th of January. So it'll be next week. The dates will be on the website very shortly, but that free training is going to show you exactly how you can start to heal. And also, if you want to jump on and get that free mini course while it is still free, it will be going up to $197 very soon. We've had over 450 people join that that free training, and that shows you the foundations. And people in that training have already started to heal physical pains in their body, which is amazing. And you can start doing that yourself. All you need to do is just jump on that. So head to the website mindbodymasters.com to get your free mini course and that free pain-free playbook. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Remember, healing is easy. You have the power to heal yourself, and don't make it hard. Drop the struggle, drop making it hard. Learn to understand the emotional cause of your physical symptoms, and life will become a lot easier for you. Healing will become effortless. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for being a part of this community. Make sure you subscribe to stay in the know of when the next episodes are coming. And I look forward to seeing you again on the next episode of the Mind Body Masters podcast. Thank you for listening to the Mind Body Masters podcast. Now, everyone has the ability to heal themselves with the right tools, information, and guidance. So if you have someone in your life that needs to hear this message, please share this episode with them so they too can start healing from the inside out. Now, if you've liked this episode and you think more people need to hear this message, please give us a great rating on iTunes, because it helps more people to actually hear this message and realize the power that they have. Now, if you'd like more information and you'd like to access bonus video content and even have the ability to ask me questions directly, then head on over to my free Facebook group, the Mind Body Masters Heal Yourself from the Inside Out group. Or you can head on over to Instagram and slide into my DMs there. My handle is Jake_Curry. All right, guys, thank you so much again for listening, and I'll catch you again on the next episode.